guys, I'm gonna do a beer can reading. Got all my cans here. I was just gonna randomly pick some up and see what the beer has to say. The XXX Gold is standing out. Gold. The golden days are here again, and 4X, 3X. It's a XXX showdown. Old gold. Kiss, kiss, kiss. 10, 10, 10. 30. X marks the spot. Yeah, there's so many different ways, you know, to look at that. XXX, you know, adulterated. We're growing up. Maturation. We're maturing. It's a castle Maine. The Maine castle. Hebrew. So I'm getting the mains, I'm getting the lions, the gold lions, the lirons. I'm getting royal, the castle, the castel, and the brewery. I'm getting Hebrew, like the Essenes, like Jesus and the Essenes. So, you know, way back in the day, before religion, you know, Christianity, like whatever, the church got hold of all these wisdoms and screwed with them to rule over the people. Like people like the Essenes, who were there even before Jesus was born. They were getting their teachings from our star family, and they were also aware that a lot of the technology, for example, you know, some of the stones or some of the ancient technology was still there. The star people weren't there, but they left their technology, and these people were grew up around this and used it and utilized it and were aware of the importance and you know, and they, like the Dead Sea Scrolls and all this, they recorded and taught and carried on the wisdom of our star family after they had left. You'll never look at a 4X Gold the same way again. But, you know, anyway, full flavoured, large, the large. Yeah, like the big blues. You know how some of our star family are on the larger side, on the, you know, the big and tall. Johnny be good. Oh yeah, I tell you what, St. John, John has been coming through a hell of a lot, like Jesus obviously as well, but you know, John was like Jesus's cousin, and you know, they kind of did everything. They went through their studies together, and you know, they were family, and they went through the entire process, like, you know, that entire thing together. John was kind of like, I guess, the right hand man. Different wisdom, but wisdom the same. if you know what I mean. They were a team, and you know, Jesus was crucified, John was decapitated. They both had really similar experiences, but in different ways. And I'm gonna say it because this just popped in to my head. So you know, like, I've listened to all the Dolores Cannon books, like most of them anyway, and they ring true to me. And when something rings true to me, it means, you know, it means something, because I don't follow anything like blindly. I like listen to myself, so, and my higher wisdom. And yeah, like, they both had very similar experiences, but carried out in different ways. Like, I guess you could say, like, Jesus was the face of that movement, you know, in the end, when he eventually was betrayed by one of his own friends, and, you know, for money, and was arrested and tried and crucified. And so that's what kind of happened with Jesus. And with John, I don't know like exactly, but I've kind of read little snippets. It wasn't in the Dolores Cannon books, but I've read other snippets, and it kind of, you know, little bits fit together. And it's like, I feel that, you know, they got to this point where a lot of people were looking up to them. There was this kind of worship started, right? They kind of got this fan base, like, and I think that's what aggravated the Romans, which ended up, you know, causing their demise, because, you know, when you've got kind of these massive egos in charge, anyone, it's very much like, yeah, Snow White and the mirror, right? Who's the fairest of them all? Like, who's got the most power in the land? It was very much like that, I feel. And it happened to John. I'm sure it happened to many others at the same time, if they were independent, if they were not within the church or the, you know, the Roman elite or army type thing. They would have been, you know, they're considered high risk. It's still the same today. If someone can't control you, then you're high risk and need to be taken out. And like with John, there's this like story with Herod, that, you know, Herod ordered his head to be chopped off, but it was like Herod's daughter asked for John's head. And I feel like it was like, because, you know, in some of the stories it kind of sounds like she was a bit of a, I want what I want, and if I don't get it, I'll chuck a hissy fit. You know, I'm the king's, I'm Herod's daughter, and I get whatever I want, and that includes men. And I feel like John, I just have this like knowing that John rejected her advance, like her request, and that ended up with him having his head cut off because he said no to Herod's daughter. I mean, this is just like my like feelings. And so even back then, it goes to show, that's what I'm getting, it goes to show that the manipulation and the power plays and the hideous treatment and the death and everything, it happened in multiple different ways, these power plays, and it was both men and women, toxic side on both sides, the ego was on both sides. Even, you know, back then in the ruling elite. Anyway, I thought I'd share that because, you know, so much, I guess we live in a patriarchy, so much is talked about how men manipulate, and yeah, I mean, the majority of people in power are men, but there are also a shit ton of women that will use any means necessary to get what they want, and if they don't get it, they act out. You know, just as toxic as as the most poisoned man, as the most toxic man, a woman will do exactly the same. And like I've spoken a little bit about this in some of my writings as well, like you know, the whole witch burning thing and the sacred feminine, and how the toxic feminine, or you know, the mirror of the enlightened feminine, divine feminine, so you know, the toxic feminine has done just as much damage to the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So you know, we really need to look at both sides of this, especially like we're really coming into the divine feminine, divine masculine awakening, right? And we need to look at both sides and where we have failed in the past, where these the pain bodies lie on both sides of the equation, like where we're both still hurting. Like you see it everywhere. We're still, both sides of the, you know, male, female, masculine, feminine, we're still trying to attack each other if we are holding on to you know, any form of toxicity, resentment, or you know, it is still being carried out so much all around us in so many different ways, like obvious ways and very silent, sneaky, hidden behind you know, the manipulative, intelligent, academic, psychological warfare, we'll call it, psychological manipulation of the feminine and the masculine. Like the masculine is still ruling society in the laws and the and everything, even to the schooling, you know what I mean, like there's still that, and so the women have still got like their backs up, and still fucking triggered, like the pain body is so active. But because a woman can rip a man to shreds, like a man that is not aware of the psychological warfare, like a woman that is intelligent and is toxic can ruin a man to the bottom of his soul. Normally when a man on the opposite script, like flipping the scripts, normally the man that hurts a woman or manipulates a woman does it in a more blatant physical, because I'm stronger, blah blah blah, I can do what I want because I'm a man, but that is only because they are the physical stronger being. Like a woman has had to activate all the psychological side of things, the brain, because she is physically weaker, in order to try and overcome the man's physical superiority. So you've got all these women that are using manipulative, emotional, psychological warfare against the males, and that the men are being damaged across the board, because it's not all men that would that are toxic towards the feminine. Society is still pretty toxic towards the feminine, but that's kind of the average, you know what I mean. So there's always a little bit of an undercurrent with men versus women, men's opinion of women, where they see we fit and everything like that, but the majority of men wouldn't go to the level of physically doing something to a woman. There's a little bit of mental gameplay, but a woman, on the other hand, a toxic woman, I don't know, I just feel like there's more. But I'm not blaming anyone, because I can look at the entire picture of history and see how we've gotten to the point where we're at, like the hideous things that women have had to experience. And these things stay in the genetics, these things stay in the consciousness, like the group consciousness, human consciousness as a whole. This pain of what the woman has had to endure, it is always hovering around us, and it's thick, it's so thick, but playing that, it's like a tennis match, like tit for tat. You did this to me, like I've been in kind of involved in the mining industries, in male dominated industries in the past, and so I've been around a lot of men, and I see and hear, and obviously I experience the treatment of male dominated industries, and just the general gist of what that the group feels. And it's such a shame. Hey, it's really such a shame. I got way off, but anyway, so I really, like, my mission is to solve this problem. My mission, I see through it, like, and I want to heal it. I want to help people see and that we need to feel the pain within us from the past. Like, a lot of this pain that we attack people with is not from this lifetime. It's from generations and generations of trauma that we're still carrying out, and it just continues the cycle. And as we're the cycle breakers, we need to check ourselves. We need to see what these cycles are continuing, why, where they started. We need to look at the big picture and give up the ego. Like, it's not our fight. We have to say that, yeah, it was fucked, but it's no longer our fight. We choose to step out of the ring, and we choose to work together as a team and see each other as equals. And both sides, we all need to do this, because that's when, you know, magic happens. So I guess like, there's a lot of, like, with me, as I feel like that's my purpose, that's my mission. There, a lot of the wisdoms I receive are kind of in relation to that, the relationship between men and women, and how we as individuals process. We need to feel all the feels and of those things and let them go. Like, we need to look at it all, but from a much outside the box perspective, in order to get a clear-eyed view of where we want to go. Because why, you know, make love, not war. And protect, don't damage. You know what I mean? Like, if you're strong, if you have strength, then use your strength to protect. If you are intelligent and have smarts to speak and teach, use that for good, not to manipulate or to hold power over people, but use it to help. So, you know, it's the sword of truth, the words of truth. It's the blue flame. You know, words can cut you like a razor. Words can heal you with love. Like, the sword with your strength can cut someone down, or it can be used to protect those, you know, you love, care about, and that are weaker than you, because you hold the strength to hold that sword, like you hold the strength to share your words. And it takes just as much strength to wield the sword. Yeah, just before I started, I was getting the Avalon wisdom. So, I mean, this is very much King Arthur and the Round Table, and you know, the Round Table. Everyone's equal, and the moral high ground, and being knighted for your bravery, your moral high standard, and your willingness to put your life on the line, or to give yourself to a high mission, to a higher purpose, to help, to protect, you know, to guide, to teach. And, you know, whether you are using your physical strength to protect, or, you know, whatever ability you have, the strength it takes to use your skill set for good, rather than, let's just say the opposite, like for whatever, you know, out of ego, or control or greed or whatever. It takes strength to do that. It takes courage to do that. It takes a strong person of mental, heart and body in order to do that. To stand up for a freaking cause, to stand up to make changes, to stand up and say, you know, that we can improve things. Like, let the pain go, let the war go, let the fighting. You don't need to fight. Like, we can all choose a higher road, and it's so much easier if we do it together. Magic juice. It's a kind of magic. Magic juice. So it's kind of like graffiti, like, and that's very, you know, punk. Like, what's that artist that does the Banksy? And there's so many other like graffiti artists that, you know, people like, yeah, the architect or these groups that fight the system. It's very much like the whole Matrix thing of trying to wake people up and getting the truth out there, getting wisdom out there, but not in like a violent way. You know, it's just standing strong in it's standing strong in who you are and what, you know, you want, and sharing that, not preaching, but sharing it. And if others feel the same, you know, we kind of develop this team mindset of, yeah, let's make some changes, and we just make the changes in our own lives. But the more and more people do that, the further we can, you know, the more we can heal ourselves and heal our kids. And so, you know, generational, we improve things. Freddie Mercury, it's a kind of magic. I tell you what, check those lyrics out, because those lyrics, it's kind of magic. He was absolutely, for sure, born enlightened, I'm pretty sure. You know, choosing the name Mercury for a start is like Freddie Mercury. But anyway, Queen. Some of his lyrics are prophetic. His lyrics are prophetic and describe what it is to be an awakened being in an unawakened society. It's a Kind of Magic is a really, really good one, lyric-wise, if you want to check it out. And we've got Conan. Speaking of fighting for the, like, underdog, I'm pretty sure, like, God, it's been a while since I watched Conan, but you know, so many of these movies are like, you know, like Gladiator, these bloody Romans and slavery and people taking other people's power away in whatever way it's done, whether it's done within a relationship and it's manipulation, emotional blackmail and shit like that, or it's done like literally you steal someone out of their home and make them a slave, you know, back in the day, or, you know, even in this day and age, the sex slavery or child porn ring, like, it hasn't stopped. Like, all that bullshit is still going on. And so there's levels to it, that's for fucking sure, from the worst of the worst of the worst to the insidious power plays within 99% of all relationships in the world that is ridiculous. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the time we look at the worst and we're like, oh, that sucks. Like, you know, you watch one of these serial killer documentaries or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, like that level of psychoness, or the you know, the manipulation, or the narcissism or whatever. But the thing is that it is a spectrum, and it goes all the way through society. Like, we all have these qualities within ourselves, and if you're not willing to look and question yourself about how you're treating people and why, like, everyone needs to do this in order to improve things, because, you know, you can't turn your back and say that you don't hold any of these qualities and all this. It is like, the ego is the most sneakiest freaking, you know, it is the yeah, I mean, it's the other side of our smarts, our intelligence can be used for bad or good, and a lot of the time we're not being aware enough to take close enough attention to see where we're sitting on the side of the fence as we're doing things and why we're doing things. And this is why awareness, self-awareness is so important. Like, you need to be the most critical person of your behavior in order to check yourself and see where you're sitting, like, at all times. And, you know, and that's pretty hard for a lot of people to take on board and see that they've, you know, that they're doing stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Conan, the barbarian, or the Ligurian, Conan, the destroyer. Yeah, so I mean, I think, pretty sure he was like, you know, kind of the underdog, like, but he rose up and defeated the bad guys, I think. Or, you know, had to go on some kind of journey. I can't remember, it's been so long. I know there was that that woman in one of them, like, scary as shit, like Amazon type woman, just as fucking strong, fighting for her freedom. And we got so that's like the deep elite, and we've got like 2 of the kind of trident symbols there, loop to loop, 3 and 3, crafty robot with the little antenna. And we got the two snakes rising up, and it kind of almost looks like an eye in the sun. And the two snakes, which is very much like the whatchamacallit, is it the caduceus and the you know, the chakras, kundalini, awakening. Yeah, and this awakening, which you have to have super self-awareness about in order to get your energy to the point where your snakes are rising. Like, you can't go through a kundalini awakening if you're not like pretty freaking self-aware of your behavior, because it's like the self-awareness and the like life review of your behavior and everything, it's like that is what clears your chakras in order to open you to your full power. It's like that's what clears your energy. That's what I feel like anyway. But you know, saying that, I don't know, I think there have still been some manipulative enlightened individuals, so maybe, you know, maybe there's layers to that as well, that I don't know. Strongbow hard cider. So we've got that apple, a blue apple, which is like Adam's apple, the blue chakra, throat chakra, and Adam's apple, and having a strong bow. Or a strong bow. Be it, you know, I mean, this is the thing, like, it's not all fight. Yes, we have to protect, but we also have to have the manners, the manner, to bow, like, yeah, you know that song, like, knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, knowing when to, like, whatever. I'm just getting like, to bow out of a fight, to hold strong, or to bow, respect, to let things go, or to fight. And you know, it's very interesting, this whole Adam's apple, like it's being, like it's stuck in their throat, that knowledge is stuck in their throat and they need to release it. Then, like, men truly need to accept and see what's gone on within themselves. It's not about women. The men need to look at it and be self-aware enough to choose to look and see. And it's, you know, it's so much harder for them to see it because they're the ones that are like on top of the food chain. They're the ones, you know, of all this time have had the power, like the physical strength. And this is why it's like it's seriously stuck in their throat, because you know there's so many of the toxic men that want to hold on to that power for manipulative power reasons. And for men to overcome that dynamic, it has to be a widespread men releasing this apple out of their throat, starting to share their knowledge and their true heart wisdom of what they truly feel is right and true. And you know, so many men try and do this and get freaking shafted either by men or women, and so they choose to just hold it all inside and, you know, continue the cycle, or just to stay silent. And, you know, holding it inside, staying silent, is agreeing, you know, to a certain extent. If you can say something, if you can stand for something, and you are you know, there are obviously like levels to this as well, because you know, there are times where you do have to choose your fight, like to bow out in order to, you know, protect you or, you know, your loved ones. Like, you have to choose your fight. But there are a lot of men out there that are just letting things slide because it's just easier, and they have the high ride, and so, you know, it's easier for them to just let it slide. But you know, that's not making a change. And you know, we need more King Arthurs, we need more Knights of the Round Table, we need to make a stand in a good, you know, joint way, and women need to back them in a healthy way. We need to see both sides. We need to see the pain and manipulation that has been going on both sides. Because it can only be done together. As with any relationship, like if you've got a relationship, like, you know, let's say a marriage, where one person really, you know, it's kind of been, let's say, a people pleasing man, let's say, you know, that the Adam's apple was stuck and they haven't been saying their truth, and they're married to a woman that is, you know, controlling, kind of a little bit bitter, you know, like angry, is holding on to a rage against men and wants it all her way, and is treating her husband, you know, pretty much like a child, and he's taken it because he doesn't want to be the aggressive, domineering, abusive man that he has been witness to, that he has probably got trauma from. So he's swallowed that within himself because he does not want to be the toxic man, but he doesn't know how to be the healthy, strong man. And the woman that he's married to is a strong, toxic woman. She hasn't gotten to the point of releasing her pain. So the roles have reversed. In so many relationships these days, the roles have reversed. There is a domineering, manipulative woman controlling everything, and the man feels weak, having no say, doesn't know where he stands, has no stand, so he acts out, cheats or hides things, does not speak. And so many relationships end this way, and both sides are bitter. The woman completely screws him over, like financially a lot of the time, or you know, the men end up cheating, and the woman is the complete victim that her husband has cheated on her or left her for another woman. You know, and unfortunately a lot of men take their own lives because they just can't handle, like, it. I mean, it's so hard when you're in that, like, situation. You just feel like you're being shafted left, right and centre. And let's face it, a lot of workplaces, you're getting this treatment when you go to work as well. So you're getting fucked over in your relationship at home. You're getting fucked over when you go to work with all the political dynamics and manipulation, politics type thing at work. And a lot of families are exactly the same. So a lot of people are getting shafted left, right and centre. It's all power play, freaking control dynamics, whatever way you look. And it is so hard to break out of that, to let all that pain go and to stand strong within that storm of a fuck ton of shit. That is where we're all at today. To be able to stand strong within that storm of toxic shit that is all around us, and that is our mission. And to walk through it like those buffaloes walking through the storm. And perhaps all of us buffaloes that get through that shit storm will meet on the other side. Talk about what experience that was. Share and grow further together, and see, start creating some really beautiful relationships for a start, to start healing the world around us, because it is the healthy relationship that heals everything around them. And this is why the twin flame relationship is so fucking important, because it literally, we fight through the storm, and we change our lives and everyone around us in the process. And then when we end up getting together and that love bomb, that love bubble starts expanding, and we really start working as a team, because when a man and a woman love each other to bits and they have fought for it, they have both had to fight for it to get through that storm back to each other. Nothing is strong enough to come close to that level of strength and love and dedication to something pure. And people, whether they think that they believe in it or not, no one can deny when they see it. It is clear as fucking day, like a awareness bubble, just by looking at a twin flame couple together. It is pure, honest, authentic communication, connection, love, sex, like sensuality, and it all pours out from them. You can see it in their eyes. And once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. It does something to you. You can try it, and this is why we change everyone we come across. And this is why we're such a threat. This is why the divine masculine and the divine feminine are so intimidating So, a threatened species, yeah. Because we challenge everything, everyone's beliefs, everyone's status quo. We challenge the old patterns, we challenge people's egos. We are the divine mirror that they have to look in and see the beauty and the love, and we make people question themselves, which they don't like. And that is why we're attacked, and that is why, you know, that is why the journey is so fucking tough in order to get back together and get through this, because you have to be immune to the worst of the worst of the worst in order to get there. You have to phoenix it. You literally have to burn yourself anew. You have to become the phoenix in order to have that relationship. And that scares the bejesus out of everyone, because that level of strength is intimidating. And it's not like you have to like physically go through a war. You have to go through the war within yourself. Like, it's the ego death over and over and over again. You have to challenge every freaking idea of everything emotionally within yourself. You have to be stripped bare, stripped nude of all the programming. You have to feel every fucking pain body on both sides of the equation. You have to look at the male side and feel it, know it. You've got to look at all the female side, feel it and know it. You've got to look at what it is together, feel it and know it. You've got to heal it before you can come back together. Do you know how fucking ridiculous that is? Like the pain that you have to process. But it's also the beauty. It's the duality. It's the duality of the entire human experiment, all rolled into one person willing to take on that fucking strength, courage journey in order to experience what you get at the end, and, you know, during it as well, because it is an amazing growth, soul growth, heart growth, mental growth, consciousness growth journey. And you can do so much good. It's a mission. It's a beautiful choice to make, you know. But yeah, I mean, this is why so many people poo-poo it as well, because no one, not even some of the most enlightened people, really truly want to look that deep inside themselves to heal it, to feel it. And on some level, the people that you come across, that they can see this within you, like you somehow energetically mirror this journey back to them, and I feel it, like it completely intimidates people, triggers them, and it changes people's behavior. Like the way they react is just like, it's feral sometimes. Like it's so lonesome. Like people just don't want to deal with it, so you're on your own the majority of time, because people just can't deal with you. Like that level of honesty and I don't know, the energy that pours out or something. Or they attack. They challenge. And in really weird ways sometimes. And you can see that they're like, the way they react actually shocks them, because they're so triggered that they actually overreact to like what you've got going on. You know, this is in my experience anyway. We've got Saint Ruby, Royal Puppy Dog, Artisan. We've got the star and the pyramid, Artisan, and Saint Ruby, Belgian Amber Ale. So we've got the ruby, which is like ruby rod. So we've got the fifth element coming through there. Very interesting. There are a lot of references in the fifth element in regards, well, obviously, I mean, it's about the supreme being and the elements and the awakening and aliens and saving Earth and good energy. It's about the love too, and both of them needing each other to do their thing. But there are a lot of references within it, like in relation to ascension and the deeper goings on within that kind of area. So ruby rod is one of these references. So there's the rod and staff, so, you know, feminine and masculine, and the ruby order. It's like with dragons. It's with King Arthur, actually, Guinevere, as well, like Merida, like the dragon queens and kings, which is like King Arthur, Avalon, like Michael and Faith, and it's like the really highest, it's the divine, masculine, feminine. And, you know, our star family and the groups they've got going on there and which direction they're putting their energy. I don't fully understand it. If you wanted to check it out, check the Ascension glossary out. It is fucking full on when you get into it, but so many synchronicities and stuff. But very much like, you know, Paladorian, Emerald Order, you know, Sapphire, Sophia Christos, you know, these crystal energies, crystal fire energies. The dragons, obviously, which have been coming through so much for me lately. Like, I'm seeing them everywhere, I'm drawing them. They're so beautiful. And the cats and the dragons, the Lyrans. And, you know, like that story in itself, like the Draconi, the dragons, like the Draconians and the Lyrans, like way back, you know, kind of, yeah, Lizard King. The Lizard King. You know, the lizard, you know, in one of the stories I've read, it's like, you know, they were kind of against each other, you know, two very strong parties. It was kind of like Romeo and Juliet, like two very strong families, the Draconis and the Lyrans, so, you know, cats and dragons. And in one of these stories that I read, it was like the Dragon King got one of his daughters to marry one of the cat princes. to join the families. And you know, in the dragon king, or the lizard king, did it in a manipulative way. And you know, and this is what kind of happened, like they ended up, you know, the dragons kind of, or the draconian whatever, kind of taking over Lyra, like knife in the back type situation, because you know the Lyrans were very heart based, and didn't really get that whole, you know, Caesar, that your friends are about to stab you in the back, in order to, you know, so it was a kind of a big setup. But a whole group of the dragons supported the Lyrans. They weren't behind. You know, there's always two sides. You know, it's not like the entire group were bad. You know, it's like Earth. It's like humans. You know, there are some really shit people that would sell their mother, their daughter, their wife, for a quick buck, and it's the same with any race. There, you know, there have been people, factions, groups, warring parties that go and do something. It doesn't mean the entire species is of that mindset. Anyway, so you know, the good dragons and the good cats got together, and you know, and then they kind of went off and they did their thing together to try and improve the entire situation, because you know these people were going obviously to planet and being dicks, which they say, you know, they've done on Earth as well. You know, I don't really know, but mind harvest, oh dear me. Yeah, like blue ring squeeze, the 8's blue ring octopus, the 8-puss. 8th dimension. Yeah, so these higher beings, I mean, we're talking about millions of years in the making of this, you know, whole situation, and you know, they're kind of ethereal. They're like the angels now. They're, you know, they're so old. They've been around for so long. They're energetic. You know, at this point, they're ephemeral. Such powerful, wise beings. You know, and they've been like with us every step of the way. I mean, that's where the whole dragon kind of thing, dragon heart kind of thing with the Avalon, because that's where they're coming from. Like the Lyrans and the dragons that I like connect with are the round table. It is the King Arthur energy, and I feel that, and I feel the connection with these beings of like we are part of the round table. It's a galactic round table, not just in England back in the day. This is an energy, this is a group, this is a mindset, a mission, a galactic standpoint of this is what we esteem to be, this is what we're teaching others that can be done. If you know, take a stand, you know, you pick up your sword, you use your voice, you stand strong, you fight the egos wanting to take the easy way out at any point to manipulate the situation just for your own benefit. You know, And this earth journey, this earth experiment, is part of this idea, the round table idea, where it is men and women coming together within the round table of oneness. So, you know, so this is the thing as well, like so many of us, without us even knowing, have this pain body that is galactic, like a soul imprint pain body, which is, it's galactic, and all these wars and opinions and feelings and backstabbings that we've experienced on a soul level over and over and over, and millions of lives that, you know, we've lived, or that we can sense on some soul level. We can, you know, feel into these old wounds, and it affects this life. And so this is like the only true way to like get over all of it, to see what's on the table, is to access and like open ourselves to that level of soul, so we can look at it as many different angles as possible to release all the hurts, so we can all sit at the table together and have a chat. And that's that. I'll leave it there. It's getting late.